I am using Unreal Engine for about 7 years now and worked on many different projects in the past. This video series will show you my journey on creating a Clash Royale game while you can follow step by step what I did. In this second part of the Clash Royale series, we will create a simple 500 IQ AI and also towers with health bars so the AI troops have something to attack. Let's start off by creating the towers. First of all, create a new blueprint and call it however you want. In the blueprint, we first create all the visuals. With visuals, I'm referring to the actual look and health bar of the tower. I'm bad at art, so for the look I will just add a cube and scale it up a little bit to form a placeholder tower. For the health bar, we will create a new widget. In this widget we add a size box, an overlay, a progress bar and the text. Let's make everything a bit prettier and we are done. Now we can add this widget to the tower by adding a widget to our tower blueprint. For the next step we will add a sphere collision and scale it up. The collision will later detect enemy troops. Now we need some variables. First of all, we want to tell which player a tower belongs to. So simply add an byte variable and set it to editable. Also create a health variable and set it to 1. After that we have one final step to complete for the tower, which is adding some logic. But before we can do that, we need to create some AI troops. To do that, just create a new character. My imaginary friends always call me Bob Ross. That's why I will add an incredible art masterpiece. A sphere. Next up, create an AI controller, a behavior tree and a blackboard. Then go back to your AI character. Go to class defaults and set the AI controller class to the AI controller you have just created. In your AI controller, you also want to run the behavior tree. You can do that by just calling run behavior tree on begin play. Hop into the behavior tree and add a selector and from that also a sequence. After that, we want to get the location of the nearest tower. We can do stuff like that with tasks. So create a new task in your behavior tree and in there get the receive execute AI event and the finish execute node. The way this will work is we get the location of the controller pawn, which is our AI, get the location of all the enemy towers and then find the closest tower to then have a destination for our AI to walk towards. In order to accomplish that, we want to create 2 new custom events, one in our AI controller and one in the game mode we created in the last video. In the game mode's custom event, we want to get all actors of our tower class, but only towers from the enemy. Therefore, loop through all towers and see if a tower belongs to a specific player and add it to an array. Don't forget to clear the array at the beginning, so we can call functions multiple times. This function will be called in the AI controller. We can leave the input for the call at 0 for now, as in this video we are only creating the enemy towers. We also want to get the array we've just created and loop through it. I know the setup isn't perfect, but it will be in one of the next videos of the series. So, loop through an array and get the actors' locations and save them to an array too. We also want to add an input for this function so we can input the AI location later. To get the nearest vector, we will need to create a new custom function. Speaking of functions, let me tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is myself. Anyways, after this little ad we will create a new custom function. I recently published a new marketplace product which contains over 500 new functions to really fasten up your workflow. I use it myself in every single project and hate it if I can't do it to this video, for example. It also contains a node which lets you skip the following step of creating a custom function. You can find it with the first link in the description, but let's continue with the actual video. In this custom function we want 2 inputs, the AI's location and the locations of every tower. We loop through the towers and save the distance for each loop to the AI, but only save the distance if it is the smallest one. For that you will need to create a local variable and just set it to a very high amount, so it is 100% sure not smaller than the smallest distance value. We also want to save the location if it has the smallest distance to our AI and return it. Now this function is ready to be called from our AI controller to get the nearest location and save this to a variable. With that we can call this custom event in our task we created before. Feed in your AI location and we can continue. Now the question may arise, what to do with the location we get from the custom event call. Unreal Engine's AI system can store variables, but we need to create them in our AI blackboard. Just click on new key and select vector. To tell our behavior tree to use this blackboard, we need to go to blackboard in the top right corner of your behavior tree and set the parent to be our blackboard. With that finished, we can go back to our task and create a new blackboard key, select the variable. With help of this variable, we can set our blackboard vector by calling the set blackboard value as vector node and inputting our location. The last step is to set success to true on our finish execute node. Now we can call this task in our behavior tree and select our variable in the details panel. Now we can also call the already built-in move to task and also select our variable in the details panel here. One important thing is that it needs to look exactly like this. Move to needs to have the number 3 assigned. You can change that by just moving it to the right side of our first task. Now we are nearly done. Let's drag and drop some towers into our level and rotate rotate them so we can see the health bar. Also add a neft mesh bounce volume and scale it up so it covers our map. When we drag a card onto our field, we want to spawn our troop. So we need to change a little thing in our cards widget we've created in the last video. Just replace the spawn active from class node with the spawn AI from class node. Select our AI classes, our behavior tree, and input the correct location. If we test this and you actually place a troop inside of the neft mesh, the troops should move towards the nearest tower. For the last part of this video, I will add the tower's logic. For this video, I want to keep this step simple and only add a wall breaker which explodes. While explodes means it gets deleted. For that, we go back to our tower blueprint and create an event when the sphere gets overlapped. Here we want to check if the overlapping class is our troop, and if it is, we want to cast to our troop and call a new custom event we will create now. This event tells the AI to explode, so to delete itself and to drain the health of the tower. Let's get a tower reference and subtract some health, and we are finished. I also changed the map layout a little bit, so if we now test this, we have a functional game. If you want to see more of the series, please consider subscribing, and I wish you the best luck with your game. Goodbye.